Hello guys, welcome back to another stream. So in today's stream, we'll be doing another project videos. However, today's project video will be kind of cute because today we'll be making a color palette generator. So this will basically generate you random color palettes for your design, or if you're doing any design, or you just want a bunch of color palettes for some reason. So So, so let's get started. So what I'm going to do is first obviously create an index.html file because we'll be building in HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Now for others, I'm just doing style.css and script.js, right? We'll be basically using a color-based API to fetch the actual random data. So this will be a thecolораpi.com will be using the API of that. So yeah. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to rename. Unfortunately, I didn't write JS, just like that. And now I'm just going to make my boilerplate. What I'm also going to do is also use a font awesome API. So it's not an API, it's just a link that lets you use font awesome icons. You can also do that. I've already made a video about that. It's in the 10th episode or the final project episode of HTML, CSS, and Java, not JavaScript, HTML and CSS. So if you want to check that out, you can. There's a playlist in our channel. You can check it out there. So I'm just gonna type cute color palette generator. So I'm just gonna do that. And yeah, I'm also gonna link my CSS file just like that. And at last, I'm just gonna link my JS file. So I'm just gonna do that. And with that said, our boilerplate is done. I'm just gonna format just in case. There we go. So first, what I'm gonna do is do background decoration. So what I'm gonna do is make a div called background decoration. Okay. So this will be our background. So like our main color palette will be in the middle, and around there will be kind of a cute pinkish kind of vibe going. So yeah. So this will be our background div. This will basically make few shapes. So I'm just gonna do floating. So this will also float in the background to give it kind of a like a background, a running background kind of vibe. Yeah. So I'll make 3 divs with a class shape. I'm gonna do times 3. That will make 3 of those. And yeah, I think that should be it. So next is our image. So what I'm gonna do here is basically have our images, but I don't think we need image. Because I don't have, so I don't think we need image. So let's start with the main container. So what I'm gonna do here is make a header and also give it h1 and also a icon. So we have used icons. So I'm gonna do class FAS FA palette. And one thing I forgot to do is to go live. There we go. Let me change that and boom. So right now we don't have anything, which again, it makes sense. So after that, what I'm gonna do here is, oops, I messed up. If you do that, there we go. That's the palette. And yeah, outside this, I'm just gonna give it a name that is cute color palette generator. If I do that, that is our heading, right? That's our header. Oops. Another is paragraph. I'm just gonna type create beautiful color combinations with real color data from color API. I don't think we need to write that. You can change it obviously. but for now I'm just going to do that because that's the theme, you know. So inside this container we have the header. Now after the header, I'm going to make a controls div. So this will basically let you sort different types of color generating. So right, like cute ones or other ones, we'll basically look into that in a bit, so don't worry. So it will basically be like random or analogous or complementary, you know, it based on your preference, it will generate from it. We'll basically be doing from JavaScript, so there's that. But like for now, this is just the, you know, kind of sorting kind of thing. You can also make a drop down, but from our design, I think a just 4 buttons kind of thing lined up horizontally will look pretty nice. So for that, what I'm going to do is make I need 4 buttons. So I'm just going to do buttons times 3. And I'm not making any class because we have different class that we want to do. Right, so I don't think we need to make anything other than that. Then yeah, and after that I need to give all of these classes a button. So I messed up, so I need to do button btn. That's a more shorter. What I'm going to do here is basically just do this. So these all have a class of button, right? The first one will just have the class of button. When on click, right? On click, it'll basically it'll basically call a function that we'll be building in JavaScript, right? It will be random color palette. So this is a thing that we'll be generating, don't worry. I'll also give an ID for this button. So we can call this down from there. And also I need an icon, but before that, what I'm going to do is push this a little beside there, just like that. And I need to copy and paste this. Now I think about it, I think putting it there might have been a better idea. So what I'm going to do here, the first one is done. I still need to add icons. I'll do that in a bit. What I'm going to do is change the second function. So this will now obviously call the random color palette, right? This will call random monochromatic. So this is the thing that we'll be making. So inside this, what I'm going to do is type random palette. This will be the content for this. This will be monochromatic, just like that. And also, what I'm going to do is do complementary. So this will be a random complementary. Complementary, just like that. And also do analogous. And basically just copy and paste this RAM. Okay, so next is the these things right here. I'm gonna do mono button. This will be comp. I'm just making short forms. Comp, and this will be analog. Yeah, that should be fine. Now for the icons, first what I'm gonna do is pull out this icon because I just make changes in the class of it, which should change the thing. The first one is random, so I think dice will be more fitting, right? Now next is monochromatic. I'm just gonna do specify layer group. There we go. That should be more fitting. And here what I'm going to do is just do yin yang, because it's complementary, right? And for this, what I'm going to do is just change to circle notch. Circle notch. There we go. I think that should be it. Now what I'm going to do is for my document, and yeah, that is our controls div. looks pretty okay. Obviously we'll style it in a bit, but for now that's our controls div. Now next is error message. Now we also have to make for the error messages, right? So this will basically be the div that will show error message to the user. So I'm just gonna do, I'm gonna give a class error message, and I'm also gonna give an ID error message, but in camel casing, which is kind of a tradition in terms of HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Unless you use Tailwind, because if you do that, then it just completely changes everything. Now what I'm going to do here is, again, I need an ID, not ID, I need the icon, and this will basically be exclamation triangle. Exclamation triangle. Is that the correct spelling of exclamation? All right. So this will basically be the error sign that you see all around, right? I'm also gonna do something. I'm just gonna type the labeling. So I'm just gonna do something went wrong. Please try again. Classic error message. I'm gonna give this ID a error text. That should be fine. Right? Yeah. Now, next thing I need to do is make a div that is palette container. Under this, what I'm going to do is make a palette. I also give a ID palette. So this will be the div that will basically hold all of the generated data or generated color palettes. I'm just gonna type colors will be generated here, right? I'm just gonna comment the part just like that, so it makes things easier. And also gonna make a class called palette info. I'm making really sure I don't mess up the spelling of palette, but I still do mess up the spelling of palettes. And after that is the ID. What I'm going to do is just do palette info. So that will be all for this div. I'm just going to again make it into a circle. So this will basically be an eye with a circle. And here I'm just going to do click on any color to copy its hex code. Now, if everything else it does, when clicking on any of the color palettes, it will be making another function that it will basically let you to copy that hex code, right? The hex color code. So yeah, that's what we're building right here. So yeah, that is all for our containers div. After going through the containers, what I'm going to do is at last make a toast, which will be a small pop-up on the right and like top right corner. When you click on any code and it's copied, it will basically show copied, your text color copied, or your hex code copied, right? I'm just gonna make toast and also give a ID toast, and I'm also gonna give a icon here saying check circle. Will basically be the check circle just like that. And under this, I'm just gonna make a span tag saying color copied to clipboard. Make sense? Makes sense. So I'm just gonna do toast message. Yeah. And with that said, I think our HTML structure should be done. I'm just gonna quickly format the document, and yeah, I think it's done. I know it's really slow, but all of the things will be more logical and styling. So there will not much be in HTML that we can do, but there will be a lot of things that we'll be doing in CSS and JavaScript. So yeah, look forward to that. So for CSS, let's style this bad boy. So initially we'll be doing the same thing, and after that we'll go to JavaScript. Okay. So let's start things off with calling the universal selector and doing margin 0, padding 0, and box sizing border box. This is the first thing that we do every time like we start doing our styling. So next one I'm going to do is call body, and for font family, oops, I typed wrong. Font family, I'm just going to do this one right here, and here what I'm going to do, I don't think this one will be fine actually. What I'm going to do is to set UI. Yeah, I'm just going to use this. I think this looks really kind of not clean, but like it will be all right once we style. So next is background color. What I'm going to do here for background color, I'm just going to give it a hex code of F8, E8, and F0. Also going to do min height and do 100 VH. Also going to give a padding of 20 pixels. Position to relative, and also do overflow X to hidden. So that's our body, right? Now next is the background decor or decoration. For the background decoration, the div will basically be doing it position fixed. Also be doing top 0, left 0, and also be doing width 100%. Also be doing a height of 100%. And doing z index of -1, so it always stays behind our main container. And also do opacity to 0.1. Now if you do that, I will just quickly make sure that I spelled the thing correctly. I don't want to bother, so yeah, I think I did. Great job, me. And yeah, I think that's it. The most of the things that we'll be doing here is kind of pretty much straightforward here. We'll be making this, right? We style the div. Now what I'm going to do is style the floating shapes. Now floating shapes are these ones right here, the div inside that div. And what I'm going to do is do floating shapes, right? And here I'm just going to make it position absolute. So I'm just going to do position absolute. Now since this is a positioned element, it will basically stay fixed according to that, right? What I'm going to do here is do width 100% and height, I'm just going to do 100%. Again, making it taking entire thing to itself. And now finally style the shape. Now for the shape, what I'm going to do here is to position absolute again and say border radius about 50%, making it a perfect circle. Now for the background for this color, I'm just going to use the RGB color of 255, 182, 193, and 0.3 alpha. Now if we do that, now if I go here, right here, it's too much. Now for the animation, what I'm gonna do here is basically do float 6 seconds, ease in out, infinite. I to basically now for the shape. Now what I'm going to do here is do shape right here, right? I'm going to do shape dot end child 1. So this will be, it's like the first child on that. I'm going to do 80 pixels. I'm going to do height 80 pixels. I'm also going to do top 10%, left 10%, and do animation delay of 0 seconds. And also going to do background to almost the same thing. So I'm going to select that, right? Change this to 192 and this to 200 or 200 kind of 3, I guess. So that is our background color of the first child. What I'm going to do here is this will be all of that. And now what I'm going to do is change this to 2 and change this to 3, right? Now this right here will be of 120 pixels. This right here will be 120 pixels again. All of the thing, now it will change it to top 2, like top 20%. And animation delay will be 2%, and other things will stay at the same thing. I'll change this to 22. And this I'm just gonna change back to 60 pixels. That's 60 pixels. This will be 2. This will be 2. Animation delay will be 4 seconds. And the color, I don't think I need to change the color. I'm just gonna change it to previous, which is 193. Yeah, and for this, I'm just gonna change back to 105, 180, and 15. Now, finally, I'm just gonna do the animations. The identifier will be float because that's the thing I selected. Now for 100 and 0 and 100%, what I'm going to do here is do transform, translate to 0 pixels, and do rotate to 0 degrees. Okay. Now what I'm going to do here and just do copy and paste here. I'm going to change that to 50. And here I'm just going to do negative 20 pixels and 180 degrees. And yeah, I think that should be it. I think the thing is we still need to add JavaScript, so after we do that, I think it should look pretty nice. So next is container, right? What I'm going to do here is basically just first I'm going to make sure it has a max width. I'm going to do max width 1200 pixels. After that is I'm going to select the margin 0 and set it to auto. I'm also going to do position relative and also going to do z-index. I'm going to set it to 1. Okay, that's the container. Now next for the header. Header, what I'm going to do is do text line center. I'm going to do margin bottom. I'm going to set that to 40 pixels. I'm going to change the background to RGBA. And this will kind of be white, so I'm just going to set the background to set it to 255, 255, 255, and kind of 0.9. And now for the padding, what I'm going to do is set the padding to 30 pixels. Border radius set to 25 pixels. Also going to change the box shadow to 0, 15 pixels, 35 pixels, RGBA, and 255, 182, and 193. I'm going to set that to that. And yeah, that's our box shadow. Now next is backdrop filter. What I'm going to do is backdrop filter. I'm just going to add the blur effect at around 10 pixels. Next is the border bar, not border box, border. I'm going to set that to 2 pixels solid, kind of a pinkish color. I'm going to do FFB6 and C1. There we go. That's our topic, or not the header, but like the container for the header. Now let's style the header h1. And let's do color. Let's set it to D633 and 84, and of a dark pinkish color. And for font size, I'm just gonna set it to 2.5 rem, and for margin bottom, I'm gonna set it to 10 pixels. Now for the header key or paragraph, I'm gonna set the color to let's say 8E4 and E6B. Another kind of a dark brownish and pinkish color. For font size, I'm gonna set it to 1.1 rem. And yeah, that is our header done. Now for the controls div, I'm going to set first, as I said, all of them to horizontal. And what I'm going to do is to justify content center, set it to center. Gap will be 15 pixels. Margin bottom will be 30 pixels. And do flex wrap for, making it responsive. Now for all of the individual buttons, what I'm going to do here is basically give. Now one thing I forgot to do in terms of these buttons is I was gonna make them the primary and secondary. I'm just gonna do secondary and do tertiary, and I'm just gonna name it how do you spell that again? Quaternary, I think yeah, quaternary just sounds right, I guess. Now for this thing, I'm just gonna do background color. What I'm gonna do here is for background color, I think I don't have it right. I'm gonna change that to 69 and change that to B4. That will be the color that we'll be using for all of the buttons. Color obviously will be white because for black you cannot see anything anyways. For the border, I'm gonna set to none. I'm gonna increase the padding obviously by 12 and 24 pixels. I'm gonna do the border radius to around 25 pixels. Change the cursor to pointer. Font size to about 1 rem. Font weight to around 600. And do transition all 0.3 seconds at least. Now next is box shadow. For box shadow, what I'm gonna do is do 0, 5 pixels, 15 pixels, RGBA, and I'm gonna set this to this one right here with a higher alpha, about this much. Now next is display. I'm gonna set it to flex. I'm gonna set all of the buttons container to flex. So what I can do is align out from center. That will basically align the text to center, and I'm also going to do gap to 8 pixels, and I'm also going to do position to relative. After doing that, button should be over. Now for the button hover, when hovering, I'm just going to transform because we have in fact as the transition. I'm just gonna increase the translate. So I'm just basically gonna lift 2 pixels up when you hover over it. And after that is the box shadow. I'm gonna change, since the position changed, if we change the shadow, it will look really good. So what I'm gonna do is have the same color of the shadow, but I'm gonna increase the alpha by 0.3 to 0.4. And after that, I'm just gonna do background color. I'm gonna set to once again another pink. So F1, 14, and 93. So another pink color. So it's even darkish pink color. Now for all of the buttons, right? What I'm gonna do is do btn dot secondary. What I'm going to do here is change the background color slightly so it looks kind of more cute-ish, because right now everything looks the same. That basically kind of symbolizes it does the same thing, but it kind of doesn't. It's basically a completely different thing. What I'm going to do here is change it to another pink color, that is FF91A4. That's for the secondary, right? Now I also need to change for the hover. Now I'm just gonna do that and change the background color to, what do I do? FF7B80. It's kind of a darkish color. Forgot hash there. There we go. As you can see, gonna copy that, paste it right here, change it to tertiary. Not hover though. What you can do is do that and do that. This will not be the same thing. I copy this. Oops. What I'm gonna do here. For the secondary, it will be that, right? It will be that. So for the secondary, it will be that, and for the hover, it will be that. For the tertiary, what I'm gonna do, I got confused there, is gonna do B3 and D1, yet another color, kind of close to a baby pink in my opinion. And now what I'm gonna do is change that to 9, B, and C7. That's for the tertiary. And if I hover over it, yep, that should look pretty cool. Now, again, I'm gonna copy this. This is for the quaternary. I'm gonna do quaternary and change that to that, and change that to FFAEB5. And yeah, everything kind of looks great up until now, at least. Now that is all for that. Now for the loading spinner. This will be the thing that we'll be making from JavaScript, so yeah. What I'm going to do here is basically make a width of 16 pixels. I'm also going to do a height of 16 pixels. I'm also going to do a border of 2 pixels. I'm going to do solid RGBA, and this will basically be all whites. So I'm just going to use that, but kind of a darkish gray. So this is for all of the buttons. If you're checking where is the loading spinner, we didn't make any different. We'll basically be adding to these buttons right there. So yeah, I don't think we need to, make it too complicated. Now, only thing we have to do is time it with the keyframes. Now, okay, I've done that, but like, yeah. So now what I'm gonna do here is add a border top of 2 pixels, solid white. Now if we do that, and also gonna give a border radius, of 50 pixels. I'm also gonna put an animation of spin 1 second, linear, infinite. So that is a loading spinner. Now for the spin, what I'm gonna do, at 0%, it will basically transform to rotate 0 degrees. I'm just gonna copy paste that, change this to 360 degrees, 100. Yeah, I think that should be fine. That means it will basically spin, right? Now for the other things, for the palette container, which is the actual container for all of the things that we need to build, right? Like we have to build a lot of things like copy and a lot of things. For now, what I'm gonna do is do background. I'm just gonna set to white. So if I do that and do RGBA and just set that to 0.9, and I'm just gonna actually more Y 0.9. Here what I'm gonna do is do border radius about 25 pixels. Padding I'm gonna set to 30 pixels, just like that. And for the box shadow, I'm gonna do 0, 15 pixel, 35 pixel. RGBA I'm gonna do 255, 182, 193, and 0.2. That should be fine. Now for the backdrop filter, I'm just gonna set the blur to 10 pixel as usual. I'm gonna do margin bottom, I want to set to 30 pixels. For border, I'm gonna do 2 pixels solid. FFB6 and C1, which is this one right here. Yep. That is for our palette container. So next what I'm going to do is do the actual palettes. The individual palette. We'll be making it from the thing. Before we do this, I think it's better that if we made one palette. So let's quickly do that. I don't think we need to make it now, but what I'm gonna do. Okay, I'm just gonna first style the palette, which is right over there, right? And after that, we'll basically style the other things. Now, for what I'm gonna do is do display grid, and I'm gonna do grid template columns, repeat autofit, min max around 200 pixels per fraction. Now that is the grid that we'll be making. Now for gap, I'm just gonna set to 20 pixels, and for the margin bottom, I'm also gonna do 20 pixels. And for the actual, what I'm gonna do here is, give me a second here. Actually, what I'm gonna do is just now style the color card. So this is a card that we'll be making from, this is a card that we don't have right now in HTML structure. We'll be making from create element from JS. So now for styling, I'm gonna do pretty much really simple. I'm gonna set the background to white, right? Border, I'm just gonna do 20 pixels, not border radius, and do overflow to hidden. I'm also gonna do box shadow to 0, 10 pixels, 25 pixels, and RGBA to 255, 182, and 193, and 0.2. If we do that, I'm just gonna do transition 0.3 seconds at ease. Now cursor pointer, I'm gonna do position set to relative. I'm gonna set the border radius to 2 pixel solid. Set to FFE4 and E1. Yep, there we go. Now to check this, I'm just gonna make a dummy HTML right here. So inside the palette container, I need to make a color card, which also has the loading, because we'll basically be also putting the loading thing right here. And inside this, I need to make a color preview. We'll basically doing that too. And inside, not inside actually, what I'm gonna do is after that, I'm just gonna make a color info. So I'm just gonna do color info, and that will basically be all of the information. Now first is the color code. I'm just gonna do color code, and let's say the first one is pure white. I'm just gonna type 65 right here. And what I'm gonna do is do that. So for the color name, let's say it's loading because it will be a synchronous function. I'm just gonna do loading right here. And after this, what I'm gonna do is inside this, what I'm going to do is make another div saying color details. So this will basically be all the RGB, color code, and the SHL, right? Which basically stands for hue, saturation, and luminance. Now, that'll all... So for details, what I'm going to do here is do span, and I'm going to make 2 spans actually. So I'm going to do twice that. And this will have a content of RGB, and I'm gonna set that to loading. And here what I'm gonna do is do same, change the RGB text to SHL, SHSL. And yeah, I think that is our structure. That'll basically be our demi structure. So let's style this. Let's style this guide. So after the color card, what I need to do is basically do color card hover. So I'm just gonna do color card hover, and I'm gonna scroll down so you guys can also see. And I'm just gonna do what I'm gonna do is, since we put transition all here, I'm just gonna transform the translate to like -5 pixels, just like that, right? And here what I'm going to do is do box shadow 0, 15, 35 pixels RGB. That means it will also be applied to this. That's one of the reasons I did it. I'm going to set that to that color right there. As you can see. Another thing I need to do is do the border color. Now for the border color, I'm going to change the border color to kind of a, do I have it? Baby pink. Yep, it looks pretty sick. Now next what I'm going to do is set the card loading. So color card loading, what I'll basically do is set the opacity to 0.7. I don't think we need to do anything more. Next is color preview. So for the color preview, right, what I'm going to do is set the height to 120 pixels, right, and position will be relative. I'm going to set that to display flex, and also do align items center, and justify content here will be center. Yeah, I think it should look pretty good. Now, since there's only one thing, if I put another one right here, right, if I do that, oops, just copy that, it's right here. Oh, okay, give me a second. The grid's not working. That's weird. Now if I press Control A. So what I'm gonna do is first check palette. So this is not working here. Oh, okay. Spelling mistake. I'm back, guys. Yeah, okay. Now that looks good. Okay, grid's working. So yeah, I think that was just a small issue, so it should be fine. So next thing what I'm gonna do here is basically do the color preview. So for that is all for the color preview, right? And if I do a copy icon, copy icon, I'm just gonna set the color. So this is the copy icon that we'll be basically using. And if I do 25, 25, and 0.8 here, and if I do font size 1.5 rem, also do opacity 0 because right now we can't see it, and transition it to opacity 0.3 seconds at ease. I'm going to put a text shadow here, saying 0, 2 pixels, and 4 pixels. Add a blackish here, just like that. And yeah, that should be fine. Now the copy icon will show above the color, which will basically be controlling using JS, right? Now color card.hover and dot copy icon. Now I'm going to change the opacity to 1. When you hover it, the copy icon will change the opacity to 1. And if I do that, now color info, finally the color info part. What I'm going to do is set the padding to 15 pixels initially and do text line to center. Okay. Now for the color code. Now you can't see the color because it's white. We'll be using JavaScript to basically set the background image to that specific color. So yeah. Now for the font family, what I'm going to do is just set the font family to Courier new, cut the Courier, and that will be monospace, just like that. And next is font weight. I'm going to set to bold. And next thing is the color. I'm going to set the color to D3684. Set the font size to 1.1 rem. I'm going to change the margin bottom to around 5 pixels. Yeah, that should be fine. Now for the color name. Now for the color, I'm just gonna set to that color right here. Font size will be 0.9 rem. Margin bottom will be around 3 pixels. And do font weight to around 600. Okay, now this will change back, so don't worry, okay? I'm gonna make sure that it changes. Now right now it says to colors, but yeah, we're gonna change it, don't worry. I'm going to do the color for the details, which is right under that. For the details, what I'm gonna do is basically do B85 C7A and do font size. I'm gonna set to 0.8 rem. Display set to flex. Justify content space between, and also do margin top to 8 pixels. Yep. And next is the palette info. Now for the palette info, text align, I'm going to set to center. And margin top, I'm going to set to 20 pixels. And padding, I'm going to set to 20 pixels. Background color, I'm going to set to this one right here. And here what I'm going to do is set the border radius to 15 pixels. And do color white. Right, palette info is this there right here. And here what I'm gonna do is also give a box shadow at the end. I'm gonna do that, and also 0, 5 pixel, 15 pixel RGBA. I'm just gonna set to 255, 145, 164, and 0.3. Okay, I think that should be it. Right, what I'm gonna do here is also do this kind of a flex box and do align item center. Oh, okay, so okay, that makes sense. I thought it was flexed around the, and if it's on there, then it makes sense. Okay, then it should be fine. I don't think we need to change it any further. Now for the toast. Now toast will have a really complicated thing. First, I'm gonna set it to fix top 20 pixels, right 20 pixels. It will probably around appear right around here. And background color, I'm just gonna set that to FF69B4. I'm gonna set the color to white, adding to around 15 pixels, 25 pixels, and border to around 15 pixels. Box shadow, I'm just gonna set to 0, 10 pixels, 25 pixels, RGBA 255, 105, and 180 and 0.4. That's it. And also going to do transform translate at X, because we have to translate at X this time, and 400 pixels. And transition, I'm going to set to transform 0.3 seconds at ease. Z index will be 1000 because I want to absolutely be sure that it's on the top of everything when it appears. And align items, I'm going to do center. And gap, I'm going to do 10 pixels. That will be the thing for the toast. Now for the toast.show. Toast.show, it will basically transform it to translate at 0. That'll basically do that, right? And for the image decoration, I'm gonna do image decoration, setting this to that. This will basically be, we'll be making from JavaScript. So, yeah. I don't think we need image decoration. I'm just gonna cut that. We went straight up doing error. Now, the error is the only thing that is left here. I'm gonna do error message. I'm gonna change the background color to, which one should I do? Let's see if I can find it. I'm gonna do FF6B and 9. 6B. I'm gonna do 90. There you go. Now it's more dark than any other, so I'm just gonna set the text color to white, adding to 15 pixels. Border radius, I'm gonna set it to 15 pixel. Text line, I'm gonna set to center. I'm also gonna do margin to 20 pixels and 0. I'm going to do display none because I don't want to see it. I'm going to comment that out. Initially, obviously, error message will not be shown unless there is an error. I'm just going to change the box shadow to 0, 5 pixel, 15 pixel, RGBA of 255, 107, 157, and 0.3. That will be the box shadow. And yeah, so what I'm gonna do here is that will be the error message, right? So next what I'm gonna do is put that to none initially, and now I'm just gonna style the header h1 and I. I'm just gonna change the color to FF69 and B4. X9 and B4, just like that. If I can do that, there we go. That looks much more better. Now, next is I'm going to do is palette info and history. Now, I'm going to set the color to white, right? And let's do margin bottom 10 pixels. Now, we'll be basically making palette info. So what we will be doing is we're going to change, you see, click on any color to copy hex code. This is the, for now, I forgot one thing. The palette div, I'm going to cut everything in the palette div. What I'm going to do is probably make it a variable here in JavaScript saying data or something like that, and use that backtick to paste it right there because I will need it in a bit when using map, but for now I'm going to do that. So here in the palette info div, right, what I'm going to do is basically change the HTML, which will basically consist of three things. That is title, which will be h3, and paragraph, which will be just paragraph description. And next is small tag, which will basically contain like colors, names, and data provided, everything blah blah blah, right? From this API, just giving some credit to the API, which is a good thing to do. Now what I'm going to do is do palette info, change this to I, which is the icon. I'm going to change that to perfectly that, and we'll do that and close that. That will be the thing for the icons. Now next thing what I'm going to do is do custom scroll bar. So for that, what I'm going to do is probably do I need a custom scroll bar? It will look pretty good, but I don't think we need a custom scroll bar, so I'm not going to do it. I'm basically not making it too complicated, because if it is, then just let's not do it. Okay, I'll just do max width of 768 pixels. I'm gonna do header h1. I'm gonna do font size, I'm gonna set it to 2rem. Just basic, because I think everything should be almost the thing. So once do repeat autofit min max and do 150 pixel per fraction. Yeah, I'm gonna set to 15 pixels. Controls, I'm just gonna set to flex direction. I'm gonna set to column and do align items to center. And yeah, I think that should be relatively, what is it? Responsive. I forgot the word for some reason. Okay, that is all of our CSS now. Now let's move on to JavaScript and actually put some logic and make this an actual color code generator, okay? Or color palette generator. So let's move on to JavaScript here. What I'm going to do is basically put this here, right? Now, what I'm going to do is push it down because I don't need it. Initially, what I'm going to do is do current palettes. So this will be all of the current palettes that we have. This will be inside an array. Initially, it will be empty array. Once we put, once we call the API and get a bunch of color palettes, we'll basically append it in that array. Now inside the initially is loading will be false, which will be the loading. And here I'm just going to do const color, basically be our color API that we'll be using, which is color API dash base. For color palette, this will be the thing. I'm just gonna copy the API. This will be the color API. Now for the code, if you want the code, it will be in that video, the stream's description after the stream ends. So you can basically check it out. It'll again be a link to our coding labs where basically you can just directly check if it's working and edit the code and see what's happening live in the live preview. So if you want to check that out, link will be in the video description after the stream ends. So, stay tuned until then. Now, initially what I'm going to do is make a function that will basically generate random colors, right? And this will basically be random color, generate random color. This will basically return a hash, right? It will basically return a hash color. Now, what I'm going to do here is do math.floor because we have to use a math function. Now, initially, again, if there is a random thing, then we need to use math.random, right? It will basically give a random number between 0 to 1. Now, what we have to do is multiply it by 16777,215, which is the maximum amount of the maximum number, which is basically if you do this, right, it'll basically give you the white color. So this will be the maximum number. So after this, what I'm going to do is change that to string to 16. So this will give you a number of which is in the decimals, which is this again is 255, 255, 255 in hex to decimal, right? Which is the maximum amount. If we need to say in hexadecimal code, I believe it's 0x ff ff and ff, which is basically white, right? Which is the maximum number or max number to a color code. Now it will basically give a random number, which is 0 to 1, multiply it. Now to string 16, it'll basically convert that to hex number, which is hexadecimal number. And after that, we need to do pad start. And I'm just gonna change that to 6. And we have to add 0. So what I'll basically do, pad start, now every time it doesn't matter that this toString will give us a 6-digits number. Now hex color code should always be in 6 digits, like 6 hexadecimal digits, right? Now this will make sure that it's always in 6 digits. Sorry, my voice broke for some reason. And if it isn't, it will basically add 0 to start to make it 6, right? Now that function will just basically do that. Now next what I'm going to do is make another function that will basically do, say, hex to SSL. It'll basically convert our hex number to RGBA. And I'm just going to do hex here. It'll basically take hex here. And here what I'm going to do is do const. Initially you need to calculate const for red, right? First I'm going to do is do %. It will change it to integer. I'm going to do hex.slice. It will slice to 1, 2, 3. And I'm going to explain in a bit what it does, right? Don't worry. And I'm going to do .16 and divide the whole thing by 255. So you know that hex color code has 6 digits. Now it will slice from 1 to 2. It'll basically slice 2 digits. So if it's, let's say, 0xf, which is 0x, or let's say it's hashtag, let's say f12, it'll basically slice f and 1, leaving the 2, right? Which is 3 here is exclusive. And out of that, it'll basically change it to 16 again, 16. And that will basically divide it by 255, which is again the highest number for R. I'm just gonna copy and paste it 2 times. Only thing I have to do is change the variable name, which again cannot be same obviously. And here that'll be RGB, and this will have, since 3 is exclusive, I'm just gonna do 3 to 5 and 5 to 7. That is the thing that we need to do. And after that, I just need to do const max and setting the max value to math.max RGB. There we go. And I also need to do the same for the min, for calculating min. So I'm just going to do that, change that to min. And yeah, now for the let HSL be max. I cannot speak for some reason today. I'm going to do max plus min divided by 2. That is right. Now next condition that we need to check out is, what if max is equals to min, right? If it is, I'm going to do h equals s equals 0, right? Which makes sense. And else I'm just going to do const d equals max minus min if it isn't, right? And do s equals is s equals L, and 0.5 is okay. So if s equals L is greater than 0.5, if it is, then I will basically apply this formula, which is 2 minus max dot min. And if it isn't, if it returns false, then I'm just gonna do d divide by max plus min. And yeah, that should be fine. And I'm gonna start a switch case for max. Now for the case R, I'm just going to do h equals to g minus b, like this, and probably do that, and do g negative I'm just going to type this formula just like this, and here I'm just going to do break. Right, now for the green and for the blue, so I'm just going to do blue here and do green. So red, blue, green. For that, I'm just going to do blue minus red divide by d, right? And here I just need to, I don't need to check anything right here. We'll basically just do divide by that by 2. And this will basically be, let me put that symbol here. I'm just going to change that to 4, and this will basically be r minus g. And yeah, that is our formula. And after that, I'm just going to do h divide and equals to 6. After that, that is our hex. They'll basically change our hex to SHL, and yeah, that should be fine. Now next function that we need to create is SHL. SHL to hex. Now for this, it will basically require all of the, hue, saturation, and luminance. So if we do that, we'll basically check if L is 100. Alright, if we do that, and I'm just going to do const A equals S into math.min. We'll basically check that and equal that, and do 1 minus L, just like that, and divided by 100. That will be the formula calculate A, and just do const F equals N. We'll start the arrow function, do const k equals to n plus hash divided by 30 and just do 12. Oops, I misspelled const here. And for the color, I'm just going to do const color equals to L minus A multiplied by mat dot max mat dot min k minus 3 9 minus k, and what I'm gonna do is basically just do 1 and -1. Yeah, that is our color. Now I'm just gonna return it to math.round and do 255 into color to string 16 and add start to 0. Now after doing that, we'll make sure that it is 2-digit, and yeah, that should be fine. Now I need to return this. I'm just going to do return. It will be a hashtag obviously, and actually I need to do backtick because I also need to use string interpolation here. Do hashtag, and inside this I'm just gonna do f0, right? It will basically we use this formula right here and just calculate everything. Do that, and basically put that just like that. What I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna do that, paste it just like that. I'm gonna change that to 8 and that to 4. Yep. And yeah, that should be good. I'll just make it look very pretty by doing that and adding a semicolon there. And except that, I think it should be fine. Now that is all the converters that we need to make. Now let's actually call the API. So for that, I'm gonna use async await, classic of JavaScript. What I'm gonna do is do get color code info. This will be the function that we'll be making, and do hex, right? It will take the parameter hex. Now inside this, what I'm gonna do is do const clean hex. So this will be the thing that will replace the hex with this right here, and so that will be the clean hex, right? After this, what I'm going to do is do const response. Now actually let's fetch the API. Do const response. This will basically be the variable that will store the response. We'll need to await it because this is the asynchronous operation that we need to make here. We'll do fetch, and inside this I'm going to use the backtick. I think first we need to do the color API base and just do /id and do hex equals to, here I'm just going to do clean hex. Now after that, I think that is all that we need to do to call the API. Now you need to check if response is great. So if response.ok is false, that means the response that the API sent us is throwing an error. Then we need to do throw new error. This is, I'm going to say API request failed, just like that. Okay. Next thing what I need to do is to store the data on the awaited. Now, if the response is okay, I need to convert the response, which is in JSON, to a JavaScript object, just like that, and I'm going to store that into data. So I'm just going to console.log just in case if I need to, put the data and or see the data. And I'm just gonna return the hex data dot. I'm gonna return a function. Okay, not a function. I'm gonna return an object that will have hex dot data dot hex dot value, which is the value. Next thing I need to do is do name and data dot name dot value. I need to do RGB. So this is the RGB. I'm going to return it saying data dot RGB dot R. This is the color code. Just gonna. Okay, I didn't mean to do that. Do that now. Data.rgb.green and data.rgb.blue. RGB, we need to put all of that. And at last, I'm just gonna put the SHL just like that. Now for this, what I'm gonna do is make another string interpolation, obviously, but I'm just gonna do math.round and data.shl.edge. This is for the edge. Now another thing we need to do is put this inside a degree. I will copy a degree logo just like that. You can find this while just putting degree symbol to Google and just putting it right there. You can also copy it from there and paste it there. Should not matter. Okay. And now what I'm going to do is basically copy this twice. Now at last I'm going to obviously cut out that. Now one for one it will be a degree. Next will be a percentage. I'm just going to do percentage just like that. And one for S, for H, S, and L. And that is the thing that we need to return. Put that comma there. And yeah, that should be fine. And after that, I'm just gonna put semicolon here, even though you don't need to obviously in JavaScript, but I just like seeing it. Now we need to make for the catch. I'm first gonna do console.error, obviously. If it throws an error here, it will basically send to catch block. And just do error fetching color info, and we'll basically just display error in the console. And next is I'm just gonna return hex. I'm just gonna do hex, right? And I'm gonna do name unknown color and do RGBA. One thing I forgot to do is this. RGBA, I'm just gonna do n/a, basically saying now found. And next, not RGBA actually, RGB. And next what I'm gonna do is do SHL and change that to an A. And yeah, that is our console.error. So that is our, function that fetches API and returns the JavaScript object of hex name, RGB, and HSL. And after that, what I'm going to do is make another function that basically sets loading. So I'm going to do set loading state. That'll be the name of function. It'll basically take the loading as the parameter. Now, for is loading, I'm going to set that to loading, right? So it'll basically set, if you pass sets loading state to true, it'll basically set the loading true. Another thing that we need to do is, put all the things. Now I'm going to store the buttons on a variable thing, document.getElementById. I'm going to get we can also do query selector. Let's actually do query selector. And for that, I'm going to do .btn. It will get all of the btn. After that, I'm going to do is buttons dot for each button. I'm just going to loop button dot disabled button dot disabled equals to loading based on the loading, and if loading exists, then just set the const icon equals to button dot query selector I, right? I'm just gonna set the icon dot class name to loading spinner. So that's why we basically made the loading spinner, right? Makes sense. And now for the else statement, if it does not exist, I'm gonna do cost button ID equals to button dot ID. I'm gonna do switch button ID. Now, in case of random button, what I'm gonna do is just do button dot query selector I dot class name equals to fast a dice, right? So this is basically the state where the loading is false. So if it's true, right, we'll basically set this to loading spinner. I misspelled it. Fortunately, I saw it. I'll basically set the loading to false. Now, if it false, now that means it's now loading, right? It'll basically set everything to its original position or original state, which is dice and everything right there. It'll basically replace the I with the loading spinner. But yeah, so next what I'm going to do is just do break. Now I had to do this a couple different times. I'm just going to do copy and paste. So we have 4 buttons, so that means 1, 3, and yeah, that will be 4. So next what I'm going to do is do mono button. Next is com button, and for analog button. So after that, what I'm going to do is set that to group, set that to yang. I forgot the yin. And that I'm going to set to circle notch. And yeah, I think that should be it. That is our set loading state function. Next is function that shows the error message. What I'm going to do is to show error message, and I'm just gonna basically do that. I'm going to do const error element equals to document dot get element by ID. I'm just gonna, okay, so let's do error message. I'm gonna get that and do const error text equals to document dot get element by ID. I'm gonna get the error text. I'm gonna do error text. I'm gonna get the error text dot text content. Okay, error text dot get content. One set to message, and error element dot style dot display. I'm gonna set to block, just like that. And after that, I'm gonna set a timeout of 5,000, and I'm just gonna do error element dot style dot display. I'm gonna set to none. Yeah, makes sense. Now we need to make another async function that will basically generate for the random palettes. So what I'm gonna do is do sync sync function generate random palette. Now we have to make for individual thing we have to make individual functions, right? That's why it's kind of a long JavaScript, so bear with me here. So what I'm going to do is do set is loading. If it returns false, I'm just going to do false, right? If it's true, if it's still loading, I'm just going to do immediate return from the function. Now, if the initially it is, false, I'm going to set it to true first and do current palette close to empty string and change that in case if there are other already generated color palettes, it will basically set that to empty array. After that, I'm just going to start our try block. So I'm just going to do for let I equals to 0, I is less than 5, and I plus like classic for loop, and do current palette dot push when generate random color palette, and do that. It'll basically run it 5 times, calling the function again 5 times and pushing it, pushing 5 hex color codes to this current palette, right? Makes sense. And after that, I need to await for display palette. This will be another thing that we need to make. We'll make it in a bit. I'm just gonna do. It will take 2 things. That is random palette. That is the name of the thing. And I'm just gonna do a beautiful collection of random colors for the description. We'll basically make this function in a bit, don't worry guys. And that is all for that thing. I need to catch the errors if there are any errors while doing. I'm just going to do show error failed to generate random palette. Please try again. And I'm going to use the finally to set loading state to false. That is our random palette generator function. So for the thing, now what I need to do is I can just copy this, but I need to do a few things. So what I need to do here is next thing is another for another thing, so which is monochromatic. So I'm just gonna set that to generate monochromatic, just like that. It will have the same thing. It will set the loading to true, first check, set the loading to true. Now I'm gonna set the current to, I'm not gonna set that to that. What I can do is do try const say the base color equals to generate random color palette, right? And I'm gonna set the const shl is now, which will be an array. I'm gonna change that to hex to shl and set the base color just like that. Now I can just do current palette and set that to empty array. And after doing that, right? After doing that, I can loop that and set the, what I can do is do const new l equals to math dot max. I'm just gonna do 10 for math dot min. I'm just gonna do 90 l plus I minus 2 and multiply it by 15. And yeah, that should be it. Now we were pushing it, now we have to push a different thing, which is this right here. What I need to do is call SHL to hex here and just do H, S, and L, right? Actually new L, and that should be our thing. Yep. And for a weight, I'm just gonna do display palette. I'm gonna set that to monochromatic palette, and I'm gonna set the description to different shades of the same hue. And after that, I'm just gonna do fail generate. I'm gonna change that to monochromatic. Please try again and set loading palette to 2. So that is our function that basically generates monochromatic. Now next, I'm just gonna copy that and paste it again. So here what I'm gonna do is for the complementary, first I need to change that to complementary, right? Now this basically do the same thing first. Now for the base color, it will check that again, and it's gonna check the SHL here. But for the complementary, what I need to do is do complementary edge, is basically the complementary edge. I need to just basically do edge plus 180 and divide we have mod by 360. It's not divide, guys, it's modulus. Okay, it'll basically divide it until it gets remainder by it will basically remain and give the remainder dividing by 360 on the whole thing. And after that, now for the color palette, I need to basically make, for this array, I'm just gonna set the base color. Next is SHL to hex. I'm just gonna do complementary edge and S and L. And here what I need to do is do SHL to hex and basically do H and S 0.7, and also need to do L multiplied by 1.2. Okay, so next thing I need to do is I'm just gonna paste that, another SHL to hex here. Paste it right here. What I need to do is basically change that to 0.7. Actually, I can just close this. Forgot semicolon here. There we go. And do that and do L into or times 1.2, and ls I need to do, I'll put that here and do plus, I need to add this by h here and divide it by 2, and after that I'm going to set the, I'm going to multiply the s to 0.5 and just set the normal L. So that is our array, right? And after that, after doing all of that, we don't need the thing, and just to await display palette, that will be complementary, obviously. And after that, I'm just gonna change to color opposite on the color wheel. There we go. And here I'm just gonna set the same, change that, and yeah, that should be fine. This is our function to generate for the complementary. Now the last one is analogous, sorry, not analogous. So that means I've been pronouncing it the whole time wrong. That's funny. I mean, how do you pronounce that? Analogous. There you go. That I did it. Okay. After that, what I'm going to do is for analogous, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, hopefully. So that obviously I don't need complementary, right? Everything will be the same until here, which will basically check if it's loading. If it is, it will return, set the loading to true, and if it's not, it will set the loading to true, and do const base color. I'm gonna give SHL. Now for the color palette, this time it will be empty array because we'll be using the loop, obviously. And for loop, what I'm gonna do is just gonna copy this for the monochromatic. I'm gonna paste it right there. It'll basically be similar to that, so I'm just gonna copy that, right? Set that to analogous, just like that. First check, set the load true, base color check for random, and do that, and set the color palette to empty array, and we'll basically loop the loop and basically set the new cons. We basically right now in analogous we need the new edge. Calculating new edge will basically do edge plus I minus 2 and just multiply it by 30 and mod it by 360. Now if you do that, it will give us a new edge, and this time we need to put L as normal, but we need to give new edge. That is all. Now next is analogous palette, and just gonna do colors adjacent on the color wheel. And after that, yeah, I'm just gonna set that to that, and that is our function. Not anything sketchy or like anything new. I'm just gonna set a few things and that's done. Yep. And after that is the display palette. We have been using display palette. We haven't made the function. Now this will be the function that will basically display all of the palettes. And do display function display palette. It'll basically take title and description, just like that. And here first I'm going to do is basically call the palette element from the DOM. So I'm going to do document.getElement by ID. I'm going to call the palette just like that, and what I need to do is also basically call the palette info. Hopefully I put it right. Palette info, there we go. I'm going to do palette element and palette info. Those are the two DOMs we need. So initially palette element, I'm just going to set the inner HTML to none because we have to change it, right? Now current palette dot for each. Now current palette has all of our palettes, right? I'm going to do color and do index. We need two of these, and I'm going to use map. We can use map, but I forgot we were using for each. You can also use map, doesn't really matter, it's the same thing, right? Map just returns you another array. If you need that, then you can do that. So what I need to do here is do const color card equals to document dot create element. I'm gonna create a div here. We're creating a div, so here we need a document dot create element dot div. This will be the color card that we need. And here what I need to do is do the color card dot class name equals to color card loading. So this will be the class name that will be assigning to it. This will be color card, and do color card dot on click. So when clicking on the thing, will be what I did there. I will basically do copy to clipboard. That's another function that we'll be creating in a bit, don't worry. It'll basically copy the color code, the hex color code. Right? Okay, makes sense, makes sense. Now what I need to do here is basically say the color, right? And here what I need to do is do that. And here what I need to do is do color card dot inner HTML, and basically paste all of that. So here I don't need from the thing, but what I do need is to color from color preview. So first I need to check the color preview, and you copy that and paste it right here. That's the color preview. I need to style it a little bit, so I'm just gonna do style. Now inside the style, I'm just gonna do background and set the background color to that specific color, right? And another thing I need to do is check if iClass equals to, here is FES, FA copy, and just do copy class icon. And we'll basically apply the thing, and also do /I, need to close that icon. So that is our class, right? Next thing I need to do is basically, I'm gonna space it here. And yeah, that should be it. Next thing I need to do is basically copy this color info. Just like that, I'm just gonna do that and paste it right here. And yeah, that is our thing. I need to basically do format the document. And now I don't need this data. Hold up a second there. I'm just gonna do that. So that is that, and here what I need to do is push it there and there. So yeah, that is our inner HTML. I got confused there for a second, but I think everything's working fine. Yeah, everything's fine. So that is for that and that and that. There we go. So yeah, that is our thing for the inner HTML. So what I else need to do is probably just after that, what I need to do is do palette.element.append child. Append child, I need to append it in color card. There we go. And after that, what I need to do is basically do const color promises. So when using that, I'm gonna do color promises and do current palette dot map. We'll basically use map to actually do it now. Using async, and obviously it'll be async, and do color index. I'm just gonna do that because the current palette right here can be async sometimes. So what I need to do is this map function right here will be a synchronous function because I need to basically get the color info, which will be, where's the function that we made here? This color info, which is async. So that, because we need to use this function, we also need to make this map asynchronous. So I'm going to do const color info equals to await get color info and check the color. And after that, I'm just going to do const color card equals to palette element dot children text. And do color card dot class list and do remove. I'm gonna scroll down a little bit and do loading, just like that. And do color card dot query selector. I'm gonna change that to dot color name and do text content to color info dot name. Next is color card dot query selector. I'm just gonna do color dot details, and I'm gonna basically enter all of this. What I need to do is now for these two, right? These two will be loading. So that's why while mapping another again of these, we need to do that. So what I need to do here is make sure that it's loading. So here we have already made using a certain, like, while it's loading, you can basically do other things, and we need to find the asynchronous operation of this while we get data and then put it into our div. So here what I need to do is, instead of this loading, I need to change it to color.info.rgb, and yeah, that is there. Let's set that to that, set that, close that. I need to do color info.hsl. I'm gonna format the document here. Yeah, that is our thing. After that, what I need to do is, give me a second here. And what is remain is the palette info. So we still haven't put the palette info. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna await promise, do promise dot all color promises, and after that I'm just gonna do palette info after all of the things are completed, which is the promises. I'm just gonna do inner HTML and basically put this. So here what I need to do is make an h3 tag. So I'm just gonna make the here and basically do that. Okay, the first thing in color palette info, which is this container right here, what I need to do is make an h3 tag and also basically put this a thing. I cannot copy this, paste it right here. This will basically be a color palette. To do fs and just change that to palette, just like that. And here it will basically have the titles. I'm just going to put title here. That makes sense. And next is p tag. P tag will just have description, just like that. And next is small. For the small, I'm just gonna basically have the color info. Obviously, inside this we'll have this tick right here. Instead of check circle, this will be a info circle. So I'm just gonna change that to info, just like that. And after that, it will just basically say color, name, and data provided by the color API. After doing that, what I'm gonna do is obviously close that, and yeah, and I need to style this. When I do style, I'm gonna set the opacity to 0.8, margin top to 10 pixels, and also gonna set the display to block. And yeah, that is all of the thing that we need here. What I need to do is now cut this, save here, and paste it right here. For my document. I can basically do that and basically do that and push it one step back and push the whole step right there. And yeah, that is our inner HTML, and that is our display palette function that will display all of the things. And at last, we need to make two functions, that is copy to clipboard, which is one function that we really need, right? I'm just going to do navigator.clipboard.write text color. It will basically now take that. Then I'm just gonna do show toast. We have to make show toast in a bit, don't worry. Now for that, I need to do color and change to copy to clipboard, and yeah, that should be done. Oops, I forgot to do one thing, that is put all of this in a bracket, just like that. Okay, because this is a function, right? After then you should call a function. Now I need to catch it. Now since we use that, I'm just gonna do that. And here what I'm gonna do is do const text area equals to document dot create element. I'm just gonna with text area, and here I'm just gonna do text area dot value equals to color, and do document dot body dot, if the above things gives an error, we'll basically run this. I'm just gonna do append child and do text area dot, I'm gonna use text area dot select, and document dot exit command, and do copy, and do document dot body dot remove child, do text area. After I'm done that, I'm just going to remove that, do show toast. Actually, I can just copy it from here. So if this function right here does not work, we'll basically do it manually just like that. First, we'll make a text area, put the value of the text area to that color. I'm going to append it to text area right here, right? Append the body to text area. I'm going to select it, execute the copy command, which is basically copy it and remove the text area after it is done, because it doesn't. And yeah, that is our copy to clipboard. Now next function that we need to create, and the last function that we need to create, is the show toast. I'm going to set to message and do const toast equals to document dot get element by ID, and set that to toast, and const toast message equals to document dot get element by ID, and do toast message, and toast message dot text content dot message. When do toast dot class list, and I'm going to add it and do show here, and basically set a timeout, and timeout will be 3 seconds. I'm just going to do toast dot class list dot remove. I'm just going to do show. And yeah, that should be it. That is our JavaScript. I need to call the function that is generate random palette. We do that, and yeah, there we go. It's kind of really bad, but it is working, so that's great. Sending the object. So now right now what I need to do is probably fix it, seeing if that works. Okay, the copy to clipboard is in fact working. Okay, which is basically copying the color code, but yeah, let's fix the thing, okay? Let's fix these issues. So what I need to do here is probably the first issue that I'm facing here is probably this one, which is something wrong with the structure. Okay, I immediately see it. I can just fit that around after the icon, and that should be fixed just like that. Okay, so I didn't notice that, but now I do. So next is, oh, field to load complementary. So if I need to go to here, oh, okay. I also messed up the order. So this should be RGB, not RBG. So RGB. I also messed up here. That is R, G, and B, and R, G, B, just like that. Next thing I need to do is check if I messed up the order here. Yes, I did. Oh my god, it says RGB. There we go. And if I do that, if min-max here, it's okay. I forgot to return, right? Yeah, I forgot to return it. So what I need to do here is do return. I forgot to return the array. That is h into 360, and just copy this and paste it 3 times. So here what I need to do here now is basically change this to S and this to L. And put that because we don't need it. So with that said, I think it should be done. It is not giving any result. Also notice it's all FFS. I forgot to probably change this. Okay, I forgot to change that. So quickly do that. Do color to uppercase. That will basically change that to uppercase. Give that and basically do that and basically give that to uppercase. And yeah, other things is they're showing no calculations. So I probably messed up in SHL here. SHL to hex, the formula. So if I do that, min max, okay, I forgot this right here. So, okay. So forgot the argument button here. The next thing I could have messed up is right around here. So if I do that, return. Oh, okay. So yeah, the data is still not showing, which means I still messed up something. What can I mess up others? I can go to random palette and just go here. Everything is black, which is kind of not great. I think, wait, I think I messed up in return again. Oh my god. Okay, so I think that is one issue. After that, let's go back. Let's go back to our listing right here. Okay, I forgot the angle bracket. And after that, everything should be working. Now, another thing that I can do is probably, yeah, I think that's it. It's working perfectly. If I click this and the show message option, the pop-up is not working. Okay, that's why. Okay. There we go. Now if I click this, the pop-up still not shows, which is kind of, it's kind of not working. Give me a second. If I go to here and, oh, okay, I put this to class. Put this to ID, and if I do now, okay, the thing is working perfectly. So that's great. And yeah, it's working perfectly. Now if I just copy this and paste it right here, it'll give me the hex code. Okay, that's it. After all, a lot of troubleshooting and making it happen, we have finally finished our color palette generator. If you like the stream and watching me code or getting a lot of errors and just me fixing it, then hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And with that said, I'll see you guys in another stream or another video with another tutorial or another project. And before that, let's just quickly, play with this thing a little bit. Yeah, it's working. I can do that. And yeah, that's it. Bye-bye. See you tomorrow or the after tomorrow probably.